Hello, this is James Tynan IV, the writer of Something is Killing the Children, Nice House on the Lake, Department of Truth, and Spectrograph, and you are listening to the Oblivion Bar Podcast.
Welcome to the Oblivion Bar Podcast with your host, Chris Hacker and Aaron Knowles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 174 of the Oblivion Bar Podcast. This week, we are bringing back one of our fan favorite segments and assembling a team of our favorite comic book giants, our comic book creator fantasy draft. Now, as you guys can see, I'm sure Aaron is not with us this week. Instead, I'm going to introduce two of my best friends, not only in the comic book world, but just in the normal day-to-day life. They are commonly known as the Comic Gents, but I'm going to introduce them each individually here. Up first, we have 1/3 of the Kansas City-based comic book podcast First Issue Club, where they discuss that week's first issues every Friday when I open up my podcasting app. The FIC is the first up on my queue. So I'm thrilled to welcome back my good buddy and president of your local Muppets fan club, Greg Lichtai, here on the show. Welcome, Greg.
Hi, hey, hello, welcome. Good to be here.
And ironically enough, you're wearing a particular shirt today.
So I am wearing a bootleg Muppet movie shirt. And Chris, I have to tell you, when I got the show notes, I saw that little mention in there of local chapter president of the Muppet Club. And I looked down and I saw that I was wearing a Muppet shirt. And I thought for a second, I was like, do I change? Do I change the shirt? And I said, no, this is who I am. This is who I am at my core. I can't deny who I am. So I decided to keep on the Muppet shirt. And just represent the only way I know how, which is authentic.
You know, and we didn't know that. That wasn't planned. Everybody.
No.
That was totally off the. Like, you hopped on the call, read the transcript, saw that I was mentioning the Muppets, and it just made too much sense. It's like I knew.
Yeah, you're like, well,
yep.
Yeah. All right, down here. I can't
Alf.
change.
I almost said Alf fan club, but either or.
I don't have any Alf paraphernalia. NECA was selling one for San Diego Comic-Con, but they had to cancel all the orders because they didn't have enough. So missed my chance to own an Alf shirt.
Well, let's bring in our other special guest here, special co-host, I should say. He is one of the true trailblazers in the comic book podcasting world with that silky smooth voice behind the Short Box, a comic book talk show. For the last 12 years, this man has been preaching the good word about Silver Age keys and ratio variants before it was cool. Badr Milligan is coming back. He's back on the show to assemble his comic creator team.
Now get this. He reads comic books.
That's me, baby. What up? Yo, Oblivion Bar.
If that does not come through in the recording, I have to grab that snippet from you so I can add it on my end, because the people need to hear that.
Catch Me If You Can has so many good sound bites for a comic podcast to just pillage, and I've done that. Man, I'm so excited to be here. I have thought about this all day, because aside from the little kickback I just got from earlier today, this is the second source of happiness for me today, because the Jacksonville Jaguars did not provide any.
Did all three of our teams lose today?
They did, yeah.
I think they all three lost.
Look. Your two teams combined did not lose as bad as the Jags did on their own. I've been in a bummer. But this has been, I've been looking forward to this, man. I cannot wait.
Yeah, this is very exciting. As we said, or as I said there in the opening, this has been one of our, more fan favorite segments. People keep asking when we're going to bring this back. Last year we had Brad from the Comic Book Couples Counseling and Sal from Comic Pop on. It is to date the most listened to Oblivion Bar episode of all time. Now, I'm not going to, I'll say that that's maybe some part the actual context of the episode, the subject matter. I'm sure people enjoy hearing us talk about this, but I also sort of give a lot of credit to their listenership coming over and listening to that episode over on our feed. So I think that this has the legs to have a similar effect, because we got the Comic Gents together, everybody. And a lot of times when we hang out, we're over on the Short Box. I don't know if we've ever had the Comic Gents. Oh, we've had the Comic Gents on the First Issue Club one time, right?
Yeah.
We're completing the trifecta today, though.
That's right. C2E2 episode.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to have you two gentlemen, having us three together all on the same call again. A real quick, one shameless plug before we get into the comic creator draft. If you want to support the Oblivion Bar podcast, consider checking us out on Patreon. For your support, you could gain access to a bonus episode each week called The Grid. It's sort of our stream of consciousness, our unfiltered, unfettered, total just behind the scenes look at the show. It's things that we wouldn't generally say here on the Oblivion Bar. Aaron and I let it all out there on The Grid. So come join us over there. It's a lot of fun. To be honest, sometimes we have more fun doing The Grid than we do actually doing the Oblivion Bar. But that's mostly because we say whatever's just on the front of our minds. You also get a behind the scenes look with our episode transcripts. You could get a special comic goodies, t-shirts, different types of, stickers, all types of things over on Patreon, Patreon polls. It's just a lot of cool stuff over there. So give it a 7-day free trial over on patreon.com/Oblivion Bar Pod, or you can just check out the link in our show notes. I'm talking to 2 patrons right now, and I'm also a patron on both of your shows. So we're just kind of canceling each other out, and that's totally cool.
I want the extra content. I want the explicit fan fiction that you and Aaron write about different comic book characters. It gets me through my Wednesday, to be honest.
Like on the Patreon episodes, I get to hear shit like this.
You egg-sucking piece of gutter trash.
All right, that's the type, which is always an interesting thing when it comes to like fellow comic podcasts, where we're like, look on the the Patreon episodes of where we get we're loosey goosey, there's no filter, things like that. It's like, if you want to know how we really feel, go on to the Patreon.
If you want to hear my true opinions about Tom King, go to the Patreon.
Yeah. But it's like, on the front-facing episodes, everything is dandy.
Yeah. We try to put on our best smiles and keep everything nice and round and rosy. But over on Patreon, it gets a little nasty. So anyway, let's get into our main topic here. Let's go ahead and get into this comic creator fantasy draft.
Main topic.
Alrighty, here we are. We are here at our second annual or our 2024 comic book creator fantasy draft. Everyone, again, if you haven't listened to that first episode, I will have it in the show notes if you want to go check it out with Sal and Brad. But I'm excited about this second round here with again, 2 of my BFFs in the comic book podcasting world. Gentlemen, you guys both had a chance to listen to that episode before coming on to this one. We are going to make some small minor changes to the format. We'll go over that here in just a moment. But just out of curiosity and sort of for my own ego, I would love to kind of get your thoughts on that first episode. Is there anything that sort of stuck out to you when listening to that? And what made you interested on coming on for this episode for the second round?
Because you told us to.
I made you. I told you had to be here tonight to do it.
No. So as someone who, this is my second year playing fantasy, I almost said Final Fantasy football. This is my second year playing fantasy football. So this episode kind of came, I think that you dropped it last year, and it was the same year I played fantasy football for the first time. So I thought it was an interesting amalgam of like this new thing I'm starting to get into with like, this other thing that I've always been into. And I was like, oh, I see Chris's vision. He's, as someone that is like kind of dabbling more into sports, specifically like football. I too think about these two worlds and how they're more similar, sports fans and comic fans. And I think either side would give things credit for. And I've always been curious, like why I haven't seen or maybe been more aware of things like this, like a fantasy draft for creators. Now, granted, that'd be a lot harder to actually track and do in the real world. But I love the episode. And I know you told me that both Brad and Sal had, they weren't very familiar with fantasy football and things like that. So it was also the nicest and most cordial draft I've ever been a part of.
To its detriment.
We'll be that nice here. It won't be that nice tonight.
So I thought the episode was, it makes sense why it's, your most played episode. It's a fun game. People can play at home. And, it's kind of cool to hear certain perspective and insight into like the creators that you pick, how they resonate with you. And I'm looking at the lineup from last year. I'm like, man, Brad had a killer lineup in terms of like thinking outside of the box and things like that. So
yeah. Greg, how about you?
To mirror everything that Badr said, you had 2 fantastic guests on. They were too nice for my taste. I'd be interested to see if they come back. Like if we do this again next year and we're all included, like there's 5 people doing this draft, how more cutthroat they may be.
Sure.
And they mentioned in the episode they've never done any kind of fancy football thing. But I feel like nerds, like Badr said, have the same kind of thinking. We've all made our comic book Mount Rushmore. We've all made our dream X-Men Avengers team. So like we're familiar with the process. You want the best of the best for different reasons. You need your utility player, you need your star, you need your dependable one. And that's what we're going to be doing here, which is like so much fun to think about, because we all here have been doing comic books professionally and unprofessionally for like 20 years. So like we have major thoughts and opinions, and I know that we all think we have the best idea of who we want for a team who would win.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun trashing both of you for your picks. Can't wait to hear from the audience how good I did in my selections, to be honest.
He's going to skew the votes. He's stuffing the ballots already. Chris, and this is such a good idea because, we talked about, how we'd approach it this episode. And, I proposed like one change that I thought might, enhance it. This is a game that, to what Greg said, could only evolve and get better, as you keep playing it and figure it out. Like you probably could figure out a way to do like a fantasy, like comic draft that might take off. But like right now I'm already like, damn, if we did it, like if we added this component to it, I think it'd be really fun. But I'm like, all right, chill. This is Chris's thing.
Well, I like all the ideas, to be honest. And I think one of my main goals in this idea, and it, again, to mirror what you said there earlier about it, is that it is sort of a melding of two worlds that I love, but I wanted to sort of keep it pretty simple. Because again, we spoke about this sort of off air, but it's interesting to see how many folks sort of dabble both in the sports world and in the fantasy, or, well, I guess I will say like, the comic world, but I would say more just like, reading in general. I think that this would be a fun sort of transition for folks who are maybe just sort of dabble in one or the other. This is I would say this would be catering to what they are interested in. So I want to kind of go over the rules here, and then Badr, at the end, I want you to sort of add your little notch into the legacy of the Comic Creators Fantasy Draft here. So for everyone, again, if you haven't listened to that first episode, here are the rules. Each of us present one creator that we want to nominate, and the three of us will discuss that creator simultaneously while bidding in the background. So basically, as we're speaking about this creator, we will often give our little tidbit and then go, okay, I'll increase the bid by $20, or I'll increase the bid up to $200, or what have you. The creator must be working today. So no Steve Ditkos, no Art Spiegelmans in this auction. They gotta be working at least a little bit today, right? A small little notch that we've changed since the first one is that we're going to each have 300 invisible dollars. So last time we had 500. This time we decided to cut it down to 300 to make us sort of work a little harder for these creators. You can start the bidding at any price that you want. And then again, as I said, there's that switch up from the last one at 500. We will have 5 minutes to bid on each of these creators. I will let everyone know when they're getting near the end. So basically, as we're getting near to the end, at about a minute, I'm going to play this noise right here. And that'll let everyone know, both the listener and us bidding, that you have a minute to decide. Also, I'll have a clock on our end so that we can all see what's going on. And then whenever the bidding is done and everyone has decided who got the creator, I will give my my very informal and actual real gavel. And that'll end that auction. All right. And then, like I said, we're going to have each of us are going to bid until we all have 6 creators on our team. And then at the end, we will hold an open discussion on who we think has the best team. Now, in this conversation, that in conversation is more of just the listeners. But in reality, at the end, I'm going to post all of our creative teams on social media. Go follow us at Oblivion Bar Pod, and you can sort of give your insight and vote and all the good things. So, Badr, I'm going to hand it off to you really quick. What was the little notch that you wanted to include in our second annual Comic Creator Fantasy Draft?
It's too late to do it, but I think for the next one, you have everyone send in a name, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then you use that wheel, and whatever the wheel lands on, that's what everyone's bidding.
Everyone has to bid on.
Until you build 6, right?
Yeah. I like that. That's a good one.
You're working from a pool, and then eventually whoever's left. Because I mean, that's kind of what you do with fantasy, right? Like everyone knows, it's a pool of players. You're picking from there and hoping to get them.
And it's probability plus luck, which exactly. Would be that would deal with the wheel itself. But so what are we doing today, though? What's the wrinkle that you decided to add in for this fantasy draft?
Okay, so man, I feel like I'm now like Randy Ruler over here. I just got all these rules I'm trying to come up with.
Coming in here, changing the format. Jeez.
So I loved last year's episode, and I guess I'm always looking for ways to like make it a little more competitive. Pit friends against each other, break friendships, and have people angry.
You want us to not be friends after tonight? Okay, got it.
Okay, but I was thinking like we're all right. We all made our own list. We're all gonna come and nominate a creator. Well, let's raise the stakes, and because like if you're coming with a predetermined list, you're probably going to stay close to that list of creators and whatnot. So what if of the 3 creators, it has to be someone that you bid on. You can only bid on 3 of the ones that you nominate yourself. The other 3 has to be, it's got to be someone that Chris nominated that I have to bid on. So your team is equal, ideally your dream team, and then half, creators that everyone else has brought to the table, which I think would be eliminated in the next time you do this with that pool of creators. So I hopefully someone is still tracking along. I know there's a lot of rules, but let's just do select 3 creators that you nominated yourself. The other 3 has to be from everyone else. Hopefully
Correct.
That makes sense.
To make it
Chris, clean that up in post.
No, I think you explained it really well, and to sort of give a little bit of context, since this creator probably won't be brought up again. There's no strict rule on us picking a creator that was talked about in last year's episode, but I think we all sort of decided we want to bring in some new names because there's a lot of great names in comics, right? Like
Agreed.
Everyone has a favorite, and I guess maybe Daniel Warren Johnson will be brought up again. Maybe Brian K. Vaughan will be brought up again. But on my list personally, I didn't include anybody that was talked about in 2023's episode.
I literally looked at what comic books I've been reading this year, and I'm like, who did I like on this team? Who did I like on this title? And for the most part, they're pretty much different from who you guys had, which I think last year's episode set the bar pretty high. Because, you guys got fucking Daniel Warren Johnson, Chip Zdarsky, Bill Sienkiewicz, So I'm coming different in this one.
I just copied Brad's list. I'm just going to steal it.
Greg's going to come in with a Peach Momoko nomination immediately.
Yeah. Greg's why mess with perfection? Yeah, I agree, Greg. Why?
Well, let me ask you guys really quick before we get into this. I know I keep deviating here, but I'm curious, of those 3 teams from last year, which are your guys' individual favorites? And Greg, I'll start with you. I don't know if you have that list in front of you. I can give it to you. I
don't have it in front of me, but I remember that Brad did have a lot of out of left field selections where I'm just
yes.
God damn, okay.
He was picking his guys.
You read a lot of the smart books. So
someone likes Love and Rockets.
Yeah, exactly. So I did like the nuance of that. Chris, you went with the classics. You throw out Brian K. Vaughan, it's just okay, this guy is going for the fucking dunk right now.
Yep.
And then Sal, he had the most current pop names. You know what I mean? And that's fine because you need that. You need Michael Jordan on the Bulls and you need Pippen as well. It's just I get the picks. So I can't really pick a favorite. If I had to, it would be yours because I liked the mix of it all. But if you put those teams in a blender and what would spill out would probably be pretty Gucci, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Badr, how about you? Did you have a preference with any of the 3 teams? And I'll name off the teams here in just a moment.
Yeah. So I've got the list pulled up right now, and I guess I might have to go with Sal's, but not by much. Chris, yours is probably, if your team created a comic book, it would be the best looking comic book ever because there's 5 artists on here. Zoe Thorogood, Dan Mora, Alex Ross, Christian Ward, Trad Moore, and then you got Brian K. Vaughan handling the writing duties. And, that'd be an insanely good looking book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Badr just named off mine. I was actually really happy with my team from last year. But then you had Brad, who had Peach Momoko, Stan Sakai, Matt Lesniewski, Tilly Walden, Junie Ba, and then Chris Somney. And then Sal had Daniel Warren Johnson, Chip Zdarsky, Tom King, Barry Windsor-Smith, Nick Darrington, and Bill Sienkiewicz.
That is a comic heads lineup right there.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bill Sienkiewicz part, the fucking Barry Windsor-Smith, I'm like, oh, okay. I see where he's coming from.
I think if I remember correctly, Barry Windsor-Smith went for $12 because Brad and I didn't have any money to spend at the end, or at least I didn't. So that's the kind of craziness that can happen. But okay, well, let's decide how we're going to start drafting here. Okay. So I have our wheel here. I have all 3 of our names. I'm going to go ahead and press the first one. This will be our 3rd pick. So up at number 3, we have, looks like I am going to be picking 3rd. Whew. So I'll have the turn. And then, so I'm going to exclude my name here. And then for number 2, pick number 2 will be, it's looking like it's going to be Greg at number 2. And then bringing up number 1, first overall pick is going to be Badr. Gentlemen, how do we feel about that? I actually like that I have 2 picks in a row, so I'm not
I bet
mad
you would,
about that.
you son of a bitch.
Yeah, rigged. You know what? Actually, here's the change for next year. How about we not rig it in Oblivion
How about we
Bar's
kick
favor?
Chris out?
How about we just not make Chris infinitely powerful in this match? How about that?
Home court advantage. Talk about that.
All right. Well, Badr, are you ready? You want to nominate our very first creator?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes.
As soon as you name it, I'm going to start the clock. Okay.
Good Lord. Like the pressure's on. Okay. Okay, fuck it. Let's do it. Come on. All right.
Give your nomination and how much you bid.
Oh my God. And I got a bid. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. My first nomination goes to someone who is having a stellar year. And I feel like it's kind of putting him back on the map. Not that he needed to be put on the map because he's already on the map. But without any further ado, I nominate Wes Craig as my first creator.
All right.
Having a fantastic year with Absolute. He's doing his own creator thing with Kaya. I mean, not on top of everything else he's done in the past. So that is who I'm nominating. I'm going to go ahead and start the bid. I'm going to go a nice 50 on this one. A clean $50. Who's on the 50? Who's on the $50 bill? I cannot recall off the top of my head.
Is that Andrew Jackson? I can't remember exactly.
No, that's a 20.
Oh, I don't know either. I don't have that much. Is it Taft?
Okay. Yeah, I'm going for Richard a clean Nixon. 50.
Clean 50 for Wes Craig. All right. So, Greg, what are your thoughts here? Wes Craig, obviously, I think we're all big fans of his, of course. As
Ulysses Grant, by the way. It's Ulysses Grant on the 50.
Of course, yeah,
sure. Right. The most racist dollar bill.
Co-creator of Deadly Class, Gravediggers Union, Kaya most recently. I really love that Wes Craig recently, he opened up an Instagram account where he was posting a panel of Kaya every single day. I don't know if he's still doing that, but I thought it was a cool idea. But Greg, I took it over there. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a great first pick. It's interesting. It's outside the box, but Badr, you're right. I mean, the year that they're having, I think it's just like one of those things where you would have bought his stock so low about 5 years ago, and now you're just seeing it go up and up and up, and you're just about to cash in all these Wes Craig bucks and make a killing. So I think that's an amazing pick. $50 is super cheap. I don't know if I'm going to bite for 50. I have some tempting names on my list that I want to squirrel away. So, I mean, that's an amazing pick, though, for Wes Craig.
Thank you, Sarah. I was like, what? Let's start off strong. I mean, a comic book ain't nothing without the visuals. So I'm going for one of the hottest artists out there.
Yeah. Wes is one of those guys that is also part of the Felix comic art team. And I feel like Felix's team is just a roster of your comic book, your favorite comic creator's favorite comic artist, right? Like think of whoever, and they're going to be like, I really love Stanford Green. I really love Tradd Moore. I really love Ryan Otley, Ryan Stegman, whomever. So Daniel Warren Johnson. So Wes Craig fills out that roster really well. Obviously, as we've said many times, Kaya, and to hear him talk about this book, I'm trying to remember where I heard him talk about this. Might have been Comic Book Couples Counseling, could have been Comics Collective, or actually, no, it actually might have been Off Panel with David Harper. Wes was talking about how this is the book that he always wanted to tell, and that regardless of whether this book was popular, and I think it is, I think it's extremely popular among fans, he was going to figure out a way to tell the story in its completion. So I really respect that. I think he's at the point now, especially after doing Deadly Class with Rick Remender, that like he deserves to tell his story in a similar way of, again, like Stanford Green that he did with what was the Stanford Green book? Help
Doom?
Me out, guys.
Oh, Doom?
No. The longtime book that he did that he won a ton of awards for. He was the artist for. Dang it. Why am I spacing it? Now I sound like an idiot. But the point being is that these artists that were on these long running creator-owned titles, eventually when they get off, they want to tell their own stories. So
Deadly Class.
Deadly Class was actually Wes Craig. I'm talking about Stanford Green. But and also
Bitterroot.
Bitterroot. There it is. You got it. Yes. Thank you. Gosh. Okay. So for the sake of auction, I'll do 60. I'll do 60 for Wes Craig. I think that he would fit in nicely on a roster for me.
Damn it. Really, Chris? You could have just let that one ride.
No.
Okay.
I talked about him for 2 minutes.
Okay.
I got a bid on him.
You know what? You can have Wes Craig.
Wes Craig at $60. We have 1 minute.
Opening shot.
1 minute left. Anybody want to take me at $60 for Wes Craig? Going once. Going twice for Wes Craig.
It's gonna go quick.
Wes Craig for $60.
No.
$60?
Nope.
All right.
No, sir. No. I mean, as much as I would like to add Wes Craig to the roster, I mean, and me being the first one to have the opening shot, I got to hold off because it just speaks to the killer lineup I've got ready in the back pocket. I've been like Batman. I prepared for this.
Oh boy.
Can I also say Wes Craig's current Absolute issue is almost akin to you brought up Stanford Green, and I forgot that they're on the same in the same art house or represented by the same art company, and they have very similar sensibilities, like in terms of like style. I think there's a lot of fluidity in their artwork, a lot of energy. But I was reading that Absolute special, and I could not help compare it, especially the second half where Wes Craig is doing the Dark Side story. I could not help but compare it to Sanford Green's Doom book, where you got to see, Sanford Green draw basically every character in the Marvel universe that you would want to see. Yeah. And Sanford Green had Wes Craig had the same opportunity with this All In special, where he got to draw pretty much all of the Justice League that you'd want to see. So I thought, that comparison, and especially both books came out the same year, they're both having a great year is what I'm saying.
Both of those books are metal as hell, right? And you're so right.
Yeah.
To compare your normal Doom book, which is often being drawn by a house style generally. And there's nothing against the house style. We all like the house style. And actually, one of the creators that I really love in the comic world is Daniel Sampier, who draws the other half of that All-In special, is incredible. But to see the contrast with Wes Craig in that book is a perfect sort of illumination of the different voices within the comic medium and how special it is to not only have your typical Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, because Daniel Sampier does draw Wonder Woman currently with Tom King, to see that difference with Wes Craig, who is one of the more unique voices. It's incredible. So I will happily take Wes Craig. We'll add him to the roster. We're going to go and throw the gavel down, and we will add him to the list. So Greg, do you want to take us with our second pick here in the draft?
Yeah. So a funny thing has started to happen in fantasy football where QBs didn't used to go in the first round, but now they are, because it's like the playmakers are the quarterbacks for this generation. Yeah. So in that spirit, I'm going to throw out my superstar. I'm going to throw out the one that I am hoping to get the most, because let me just name off some of the books she's done. Captain Marvel, Birds of Prey, Black Widow, Scarlet.
I know where we're going.
Black Cloak, Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm talking, of course, of Kelly Thompson.
There we are. All right. Where are you starting the bidding at?
$75.
$75 for Kelly. All right. I like it.
There is, in my mind, no one right now who is more of a sure thing than Kelly Thompson. Like, doesn't matter if it's humor, serious, horror, fantasy. Like, she throws down the gauntlet every time. And I just have a smile on my face with every story that she's written. And I know that she has given a ton of thought and passion into the stories that she's writing. And these are long-term stories. She's not going in for 2 or 3 issues and just like, okay, we're done here. Like, she is set out a plan and really wants the reader to enjoy themselves. Like, you can tell with some writers that they're just writing a story that perhaps they want to write or that they want to see. And Kelly Thompson's just like, no, this one's for the fans. And it's been every book she's written has been for the fans. So that's where I'm going at. Kelly Thompson, $75.
I like it. I like it. 75 is rich. If I didn't just get Wes Craig, I would fight you for that. She's on my list as well. Kelly she led this last year's Eisners with 5 nominations, which she ended up winning 1, I think, for best humor publication for It's Jeff. And I think she honestly could have easily won best writer. I think it went to Mariko Tamaki. But point being is that you're absolutely right. And that Birds of Prey book, I cannot yell from the mountaintops how awesome that fucking book is. It's just so good. Hey, and shout out to issue 2. The Oblivion Bar is in that issue. So shameless plug there. But unfortunately, based on my roster and everything that I have, again, bidding on Wes Craig, which I'm still happy about, I cannot compete for Kelly Thompson. So Badr, I'm going to hand it off to you here. Got about 3 minutes left here on this Kelly Thompson round. What are your thoughts? $75?
No, Greg can have that. I got a plan. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Walk off with the Patrick Mahomes of comic book creators right now.
I think when you hear some of the ones I got, maybe. No disrespect to Kelly Thompson. Kelly Thompson is a great pick, Greg, for all the reasons you said. Consistency, fan base. She just makes quality comic books. Sometimes you want someone that's a sure thing, and I think she's the definition of a sure thing. I read Absolute Wonder Woman for the first time a couple days ago, and I still have to read Absolute Superman. But right now, Absolute Wonder Woman might be I got it edging out Absolute Batman just by a smidge.
Interesting.
Just by a smidge.
Welcome, friend. I'm in the same boat as you.
Get in. The water's warm.
You know what it is? It's because I was not expecting. I don't know. I think this is the most interesting one in terms of, like, I'm not the biggest. I don't know a lot about Wonder Woman. I went in there with it very fresh. there's only so much of Batman. It's like Scott Snyder did the inverted of Batman, which isn't that. I guess like it didn't catch me by complete surprise, but going into Wonder Woman, I'm like, okay, how are they going to make her different?
Yeah.
And having her raised in hell? I mean, come on. The best way to love a child is to raise a child? Come on.
And she has a
best way to
giant sword.
show the love is to give the child away. I mean, it was filled with like great quotes. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Greg can have Kelly Thompson for 75. That's
All right.
too rich for me, blood.
Going once, going twice, going 3 times. We got Kelly Thompson for $75. All right. And she, again, as I said a moment ago, she was on my list. So a great pick there, Greg. All right. I'm going to bring up the rear, both with the last pick in the first round and then the first pick in the second round. Up first, we are going heavy into, I think, one of, if not the most business savvy creators in the industry. I think gentlemen will know who I'm talking about as soon as I start talking about what they've done.
Can I take a guess?
Sure. Go ahead and go with the guess. If you got it right, I'll start the clock.
Is it Tiny Onion?
That's a good guess, but no, it's not Tiny Onion.
Okay. Let me, I will say it is probably Scott Snyder.
You got the first part right. It is Scotty Young, and I'm starting Scotty Young at $60. $60 for Scotty Young, writer, artist.
Damn.
One of the one of the most business savvy. If you've guys ever been to his website, which I'm spacing right now, is Stupid Crazy Mess or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He has created an empire with all of his work. Stupid Fresh Mess, excuse me. It's just incredible. All the stuff that he's able to do, not only with his variants, but some of his own creator-owned work with Middle West and I Hate Fairyland. And he has these unoriginal art prints. Talk about an incredible idea where you can put up what looks like an actual page of like a Moon Knight cover, and it ends up just being a print that you can buy for $20. How incredible is that? It's so cool. So $60 for Scotty Young is what I'm going to start with. Do either one of you gentlemen want to fight me? I don't think I really even need to say much about Scotty Young. I think we all are familiar with how incredible Scotty is, not only as an artist, but also as a writer and so on. So Scotty Young, any fight for $60?
Well, he is a Kansas City staple. I'll say that. So Scotty Young has been on my radar from, I think, pretty much the beginning. He's been at Planet Comic Con every year. He is like just the nicest dude to talk to ever. He's super chill. He struck gold with his like chibi versions of comic book characters. He makes 1 million covers a week. And like you said, like Bully Wars, I Hate Fairyland, Middle West, like the man knows
Strange
how to
Academy.
write. Strange Academy. The man knows how to write a story as well. And so it's like this double threat thing that's going on that is a great utility player for a team. So that's a fantastic pick. And it hurts me to maybe walk away from a KC boy only because I have a utility player on my list that I also want. So in the, what was it at? What'd you have it at?
$60 is the current bid for Scotty Young. If you guys let me take Scotty Young for $60,
I'll do 65.
$65.
I'll do 65.
Badr, what are your thoughts?
On Hometown Alliance alone.
Yeah, of course. You got to at least do one bid for the KC guy.
I mean, yeah, I've been playing conservative these first 2 rounds, and a part of me wants to continue playing conservative because it's only the first round. But we're here to have fun. We're friends. We're here to have fun.
Not for long.
Yeah. $300 is going to go very fast, even though it's imaginary. But for the sake of fun, I'm going to go 75.
75.
I'm going to throw in a bid for 75. I mean, you guys make the problem with it being 5 minutes is that you think in the beginning, you're like, okay, I'm going to let that one slide. But then enough time goes by and you're like, well, they're all making very good cases. Maybe I do need, a writer-artist combo. I'm looking at his website. I'm like, wow, this website is pretty well. He's like got a lot of things figured out. I want that on my team. So yeah, I'm gonna go 75.
75. All right, I'm gonna go 80 because I think that he is just one of the most. We spoke on Tiny Onion a moment ago, but I truly believe that what Scott Young has created here with Stupid Fresh Mess might be at the top of the mountain when it comes to creating an empire within comics. Now, of course, I don't think there's a ton of Scotty Young stuff being created into movies and television, at least not that I know of, like Tiny Onion's doing over with Something Is Killing the Children and all the other stuff that he's doing. But regardless, if you just talk about what people will shell out for original Scotty Young stuff and just his covers in general, he would be a pillar on my team. So I'm confident at $80 for Scotty Young.
I got to walk away.
Yeah, I might let you have that. And I think this is where our difference is in how we're approaching this with what mentality, right? I'm going into this mentality in this game of like building out the best team that would put the best comic book together. So I think I've got it like I need a writer, I need 1 minute down. So I think
down. Yep.
Yeah. So I think for that case and for $80, I'm gonna take a step back. I threw a little hat in the ring. I threw my change in there.
Yeah, I like it. Honestly, I didn't really want to go 80 for Scotty, but it's worth it. Honestly, I feel really good about that. However, I have another pick here. Let me go ahead and gavel. I've got Scotty Young and Wes Craig over on my team.
Which, let's be real, if we ever seen a solicitation for whatever book, a Marvel, DC Image, boom, Dark Horse, that said Scotty Young in the writer slot and Wes Craig in the artist slot, we'd be losing our mind.
Or Wes Craig in the writer slot and Scotty Young in the artist slot.
Oh, man.
Like losing my
That's a
paycheck.
good point. Yeah, Chris. Yeah. It'd be Variant City galore.
All right. I'm going to zig here when I think you guys think I'm going to zag. For my first pick in the second round, I'm going to go for a specialist slot. I've got 2 utility players. I'm going to go with one of the best colorers in the game. Now, in our first fantasy draft, no colorists were taken, at least not in their,
say it.
in their normal slot.
Say it.
I'm going to start the bidding for Jordy Belair.
God damn it.
son of
I
a
knew that was about to come out of your
$30.
mouth.
$30
No,
for Jordy Belair.
You don't even need to ask anyone. $50. I raised it.
$50 for Jordy Belair.
Because I was thinking, I was like, that was the difference. And that's what I'm saying, Chris. You've got my mind racing like, oh, they got to do this, it's that. I think for the next one, build out the team. And colors has to be
letterers on his list.
I know.
Yeah.
This is the project manager in me and also the big brother that had to come up with all the games for us to play as kids. So
Yep.
I had Jordy Belair, and I kind of broke down my dream list in terms of like writer, artist, colorist, letterer, and I even had editor, but I might have to change tactics. But Jordy Belair was at the top of the list, and I forgot what I was reading this week where she was doing the colors, but she's what I call sneaky famous in comic space because that role is gaining more prominence. You know, their names are on the cover of books now, but it's still one of those things where you don't realize. I don't think that colorist is like a household name just yet. It's getting there, but not just yet. But if there was any household name in the world of colorists, Jordy Belair would be it. Because I guarantee you right now, if any of you guys or anyone listening was to look at their stack of comic books right now, I put the $50 that is waged in real money that Jordy Belair has colored one of those books, at least one of those books in your to read pile. I guarantee it. I think now that I recall it, she just drew the current issue of Amazing Spider-Man with Ed McGuinness, which, you flip through it, you're like, first of all, it's Ed McGuinness, so the art is beautiful, but the colors, the lighting, the tone, all Jordy Belair, baby. Worth $50 easy.
$50 for Jordy Belair. Greg, what are your thoughts?
I concur. Like, they're up for an Eisner, I think, every year.
They just won one last year. Yep.
It's just like every
Two-time
year.
winner.
It's like they're always on that list. That's a great pick. It's like throwing out Dave Stewart. I mean, Mike Mignola and Dave Stewart are basically just like locked together. Mike Spicer, I think, is in the same ilk. Like, people don't realize that there is more to a comic book than a writer and an artist, a letterer. There is a colorist. There is, designers. Like, all of this is melted together to make a great comic book. So, you're throwing me for a curveball here by including Jordy.
Speaking of that Birds of Prey book, you could have Kelly Thompson and Jordy Belair. They're two of the best parts of that book.
Yeah,
on your team.
Or Riley, you never know.
If you were to think of comic books, and I try to in terms of like filmmaking, because I think it's an easier one for one. Jordy, the lighting can make or break a film. For some reason, Drive comes to mind. I think a lot of people remember some of the iconic lines and some of the general premise, but everyone remembers like the lights in it, the lighting. What was the other Ryan Gosling movie he did right after that? Only God Forgives, I think. Moody lighting, and I think that's how you have to look at a colorist in comic books. They set the tone, the mood, which can also play into the setting, how a certain panel or page feels. Yeah, they don't get enough credit, but the really good ones, Jordy Belair, Tim Townsend, Greg, who did you say? Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart.
Masters
Stewart,
of their
Mike
craft.
Spicer,
They could, real quick, sometimes you realize, at least I realize, it's not the art per se of pencil work that I like so much as like the coloring,
Sure.
And Jordi Belair is, you could like a book just because Jordi Belair's on the color.
Yeah, to make a sports reference here, colorists and inkers are kind of like kickers in football. Like you don't recognize them, you don't know how valuable they are until you have a bad one. So
yeah, right.
Or having a really good one. Yeah, speaking as a Ravens fan, Justin Tucker killed us today, and he's one of the greatest kickers of all time. Again, to make a football reference, but
the only 6 points that Jags scored today was because of our guy Little kicking those field goals for us. All right.
All right, we got about 30 seconds here. Bidding at $50 here for Jordi Belair. Badr currently has taken Greg. I'm going to back out here because I've got 160 in my bank account.
I'm backing out as well.
Backing out at $50 going once.
Come on.
Going twice here for Jordi Belair, going 3 times. And we have a winner here. Jordi Belair, $50.
I could have went a little lower, but fuck it, $50. All right.
Now that we're all thoroughly broke.
That's all right.
Take that.
No problem.
And rewind it back.
All right. Well, Greg, you are up next here. I'm going to go ahead and set the clock here. All right. So just for a quick update, everybody, I have Wes Craig at $60 and Scotty Young at $80, leaving me at $160. Greg currently has Kelly Thompson for $75, and Badr just took Jordi Belair for $50. Now we're on to Greg here. Greg, who is your second round pick?
I'm going to go with my utility player here who can do art duty and writing duty and sometimes in the same book. I'm going to start the bidding low so we can have a little back and forth, but I'm going to go with Kyle Starks. Where Monsters Lie, Peacemaker, Sex Castle, Rock Candy Mountain. I've talked to Kyle a few times on the show. He loves comic books. He loves making comic books, and that really shines through in his work. I mean, it's there is not a genre that he is not willing to dive into. He's just a fantastic creator of comic books.
Hey, buddy, stop running the clock. What's your bid, damn it?
That makes him a threat. You caught on. $25. We'll do $25.
$25. We got a filibuster here with the Kyle Starks pick.
Right, that's funny. He said it. You got you're
in
waiting
the
for the 1
beginning.
minute
There
mark.
is $25. $25.
Dumb it. Okay, that's good. I will see your 25 and rate. What's the increments? Isn't there normally like a minimum increment?
We'll just do five per pick.
Okay.
So if you want to do,
I'll see 30. I'll see your 25. I'll raise you 30.
All right.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and go 40 because it's just like the dude doesn't miss. Like Lobo Cancellation Special that just came out recently had no business being as good as it did.
He also, man, he knows how to write comedy. And I think if you know how to write comedy, especially in comic books, then, I mean, they say that about, to go back to the movie reference, like when a comedic actor can nail like comedy, it's so easy for them to do drama or any other type of roles because, comedy is just kind of hard to portray, as far as timing and, sensibilities and all this and stuff. And I feel like Kyle Starks has mastered the art of fun and comedy, but also will hit you over the head with or hit you in the gut with feelings and a really well thought out story. So with those reasons, I rate you 45. I go 45 because he was on my list too.
For Kyle Starks.
And it's just like it's the dialogue. He knows how to write a conversation between two people or multiple people. I think it's like the 7 sidekicks of
Trigger Keaton.
Trigger Keaton. Like that was such a fun.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of, and such a fun premise too.
Yeah, like 12 people you had to get into the mood to write.
And two of my favorite books of the last couple of years were Peacemaker Tries Hard and the Minor Threats Barfly book that he and Ryan Brown did.
That's right.
And for that reason, that's why I'm going 55. And it's 55. Just like, come at me, bitch. Right. And then so it's like,
so it's just like, come on, bro, what's up?
It's just like,
damn, 300 is going too fast. Too fast.
You think you know what you're going to get with Kyle Stark because you read his previous works, and then you read his newest one. You're just like, he just keeps finding ways to surprise you. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've talked to Kyle a couple times here on the show. He's always an incredible person to have on the show. He's long-winded, and I mean that respectfully and in the best way possible because he will talk and talk and talk, and it's awesome to hear him talk because he's like extremely intelligent and funny person overall. And we've had him on twice, It's always a great conversation. Unfortunately, again, with my bank account, see, the thing about my bank account is I got my checking and my savings. Unfortunately, I don't have the funds. So I'm going to back out on Kyle Starks. I wish you both well in this venture, and I'm jealous because he is on my list. But unfortunately, I do not have the funds right now to, and if I want to get to the people that I want to get to at some point, Kyle Starks, unfortunately, does not have a spot on my roster.
Why did we agree to 300 from 500? Oh,
motherfucker, you made up the rule.
Yeah, you said
that was me. Oh, shit. It's me. I'm the problem. Okay.
We're at 55.
55. We got 1 minute.
And to remind you, just because the clock ends does not mean we stop bidding. So if you're waiting
until someone wins.
if you're waiting,
no, I'm not. I'm thinking really hard. I'm just thinking really
$55
hard.
for Kyle Starks. 55.
He can have it. He can have it. I'm a pivot. Damn,
55.
Kyle Starks is the high on the list. He can have it.
All right.
I bow out.
All right.
I bow out.
So 55 going once, going twice. And sold to Greg. All right. So right now, up next, we have Badr. Badr, you are up next here. What are we thinking?
See, this is what happens when you want to control the rules and make them. It comes back and bites you in the ass. It hurts so much worse. Okay. You know what? I'm going to take a page from Greg's book and thinking about, my lead player, my QB player. I need a writer because a comic book needs a plot. So I'm going to nominate Ram V.
Ram V. All right.
I'm going to go for a solid 30. Let's start out with a solid 30. That's going to be my opening
$30.
wager. Ram V, I mean, another person who has had a stellar year, and not just like a stellar year, but a stellar like past couple of years. And I keep looking at, he is someone that you think has been around for a lot longer than he really is. I think it's safe to say around the first time I heard of him was in 2019 when he put out These Savage Shores, which I still have not read. I need to do a better job of catching up. But ever since then, I mean, it's been, the rest is history for him. These Savage Shores, I mean, he's immediately went into DC, Aquaman, Detective Comics, Mini Devs of Layla Star of Boom Studios, Rare Flavors. He's doing the New God. Is it Absolute New Gods?
I think it's
for
just
DC.
New Gods.
Just regular New Gods. But and for good reason. This guy has an ability to write aura. That is the best way I describe it. His writing has a certain aura to it, a certain feel. He knows how to get metaphysical. To me, he is. I want to say one for one, but when I think of folks like Grant Morrison that are a little heady, a little okay to bring very serious and esoteric themes to their writing, Ram V all day. And to me, anytime that he writes a book, it's at least worth checking out the first couple issues to see if it's your thing. So I'm going Ram V, a strong writer for the team.
Well said, Badr. I agree.
30?
$30 for Ram V. I'm going to do 35 for Ram V. I will say that Ram, to this day, in Oblivion Bar history, I don't know if I've ever actually shared this on the show. I know I've definitely told both of you about it in our group chat, but the Ram V, Evan Cagle conversation that I had with them about Detective Comics is to date one of the hardest conversations that I've ever had. And I owe Ram a bit of gratitude because he was one of the very first guests that I've had on the show where he just refused to explain things. I would ask him, what was sort of your process, or what were you trying to say with this and this? And he refused to say it. And his reasoning for that is that it's not up to him. The moment he puts pen to paper, this work is no longer his. It is the reader's. So whatever the reader gloms from that story is sort of what it was meant to be. And I just really respect that about him. So I'm going to do 35 for Ram V.
All right, well, I'm going to go 45.
45.
I'm going to challenge that, yeah. Because
Greg,
for those exact reasons, I'm sorry to interrupt, Greg, but
good.
for those exact reasons, I think we want more people that think critically and very hard about comic books and the relationship between the artist and the writers. And when you have someone, and he comes from I think he was a engineer, right? He was he went to he's got PhDs to his name, I believe, but he went to college. He's got degrees under his name, for a very I don't know, methodical thinking. And I think he brings that to his writing, a sense of intelligence, a sense of professionalism, air of sophistication. And that's what I want in my comic books. And as well as what ideas he can bring that maybe we, that are fresh and new. So Greg, you want to challenge that or say anything to it?
No, you're good. I mean, I was gonna bid 40, but you bid 45, so I guess I'm fucking moot at this point because
dude, you don't need two riders, Greg. You don't need two riders. You got Kyle Starks. Come on, baby.
But the thing about Rom V is, and I'm officially backing out from the bidding. The thing about the Rom V is he's following in the same footsteps as a lot of others before him, like Chip and James Tynion and Tom King to an extent. Just like they were indie darlings who just absolutely annihilated it. And then they slowly stepped into the main two era of Marvel and DC. And that's when, like, I don't want to say like the eyes of the comic book industry were on them, but it's just like everyone who was like reading Batman or like Daredevil were just like, who's this like Rom V guy or like who's this Tom King guy? And then everyone found out what us indie readers already knew. And it's just like, it's fun to see that for him of just like stepping into that larger role and just killing it. Like Detective Comics is amazing. This new God stuff he's going to be doing, I know is going to be bonkers. I think he did some Venom stuff with Al Ewing.
Al Ewing.
Yep.
Is incredible. Like it's so nice, and it feels like you're watching a friend succeed at something because you've read their work so long that it's like, oh hell yeah, Rom V, go fucking get that bag, brother.
Really love his work on him and Dan Waters on the Six Fingers in the One Hand that they're doing over on at Image Comics.
So good.
That side by side parallel story. It's really great. But unfortunately, I don't have the funds for it, so I'm going to back out as well. And that's actually the end of our time there with Rom V. So Badr, you have him. Let me go and
4 to 5.
Where's my gavel at here?
That cheddar cheese.
Badr, you get Rom V at $45. So
go,
I think.
baby.
Is that am I up or is it Greg? Greg, I think you might be.
I'm up.
Yep. All right, Greg. Who's your third nomination here?
For my third nomination, I'm gonna go for someone who is been a long staple in the industry and who has been making some massive hits as of recently with his imprint Giant Generator, Mr. Rick Remender.
All right. What are we starting the bidding at?
25.
5.
Okay.
You got, Napalm Lullaby, Deadly Class, 7 to Eternity. I think he's doing grommets with Brian Posehn. The guy's just like blowing up. He started his Giant Generator stuff and he's just like, all right, I'm getting my team together. He did what we're doing right now with for like real life and like created this amazing imprint on Giant Generator. And it's just like the dude's hitting gold, like one after the other. And specifically, like I'm loving grommets. Like it's just a nostalgic story about skateboards and punk rock and identity and like you have Brian Posehn on there who's an amazing stand-up comedian as well as a great comic book writer. So I think he's just kind of this like threat that no one perceives as a threat because it's just it's Rick Remender, like he's just like an easy breezy kind of guy, but he will just throw daggers all night. And so Rick Remender.
Rick Remender. He's on my list as well. Again, talk about business savvy. He has made himself a little nice nook over in the Image Comics world with the Giant Generator world. He can pretty much do whatever he wants now. Speaking again of Deadly Class with Wes Craig, he's done so much. I think this is sort of a low hanging fruit, but one of my favorite X-Men stories of all time is of course Uncanny X-Force. Just an incredible talk about elevating at that time the X-Men brand, where if you guys can remember back to the early 2010s, the X-Men line wasn't doing very well, and it was like really one of the only highlights in that corner of the Marvel universe was the Uncanny X-Force that he was doing there. I think that's maybe the last time that we'll see Rick Remender writing a big 2 book, but I'm so happy that we have it. So for 25, $30 for Rick Remender, why not? Let's do it.
Okay,
I'll see you $30. $30. I'll raise you 35.
$35 right now for Badr Rick Remender. Giant Generator. Do you want that on your team?
Great. I mean, think about all the
40.
resources.
I'll do 40.
Okay. $40. $40 for Rick Remender. I'll do 45. 45 for Rick Remender.
I'll let y'all two fight it out.
45 is what I will stop at.
And now we have to get into the thing now because like I have 2 people of my own bidding.
If you get this,
so if I get this one,
if you get this,
kind of cooked unless you guys throw out absolute trash, which I don't think you're going to.
Oh, I forgot all about that part. Okay, damn. I got to rethink the strategy.
All right, Chris. All you.
You giving me Rick Remender for 45?
Yeah.
All right.
You're
welcome.
Like
that's a good one. I think that's actually could be the steal of the day, because right now the lowest so far would have been Rom V at 45. I got Rick Remender, and no shame to Rom V. I think Rick Remender just sort of supplanted his flag in comic history.
Himself.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. To be honest, I'm happy that I got Rick Remender, but let me do my gavel really quick. I will say that the funds are not looking good, especially because I have 2 picks in a row here. So
really quick, the gavel sounded like on New Year's Eve, the game that we all play. Gunshots or fireworks? That's what that gavel just sounded like. It sounded like
didn't Rom V just start their own imprint called the Ninth Circle as well?
Oh, they may have. Yeah, I'm not sure actually, but that doesn't surprise me. So let's see here. I have 2 picks in a row here. I got to play smart here because I have currently, the way my roster is set up, I have only one of my own picks with Scotty Young, but I have 3 people and only $125. So I'm going to do something risky here, and I'm sort of annoyed that I put myself in this place. I'm going to do Fiona Staples at $25. Fiona Staples at $25. Wow. Arguably the greatest female artist in comic history. As many people know, I'm a giant Saga fan. It's my favorite comic of all time. Brian K. Vaughan is my favorite writer of all time. Fiona Staples is one of my favorite artists of all time. But again, the way my checking and my savings is set up, I only have so much. So I'll do $25 for Fiona Staples.
35.
35.
I do a 45 because
damn you guys.
I think, like I said, I'm approaching this as building a team to sell the ultimate comic book. And I feel like if Fiona Staples does not just do a bunch of work. I mean, Saga comes to mind, obviously, first at the top of the head. I think you also might think like the short run she did on Archie of Mark Waid. But she seems like someone that is very meticulous and selective about the projects that she jumps on. Because her artwork, is so incredible. It looks like, she's aware of how much time it takes. So I think she's like an automatic seller. You see Fiona Staples' name on a comic book, you're more than likely going to sell it and people are going to pick it up. It's going to sell. So
I'll do
45.
$50 from Greg.
How much money you got over there, Greg?
He's got 175. You have 175.
175.
I'm not trying to count pockets, but geez.
I'm angry that you guys didn't just let me have this, by the way.
Yeah, sorry.
And while you guys are thinking about this, I will just say that when speaking to Brian K. Vaughan on the show, Brian, and this could have just been him being humble, but I kind of believe him when he says that most of the best parts of Saga, and there are a lot of great parts, came directly from Fiona Staples' Cerebellum. Like she is the genius behind Saga. He even says at one point in our conversation that not only is she an incredible artist, but she's a better writer than him, which again could be him being humble. But I tend to see a little bit of truth there, with Fiona. So currently was it 50 right now?
Yep.
50 for Greg.
I'm gonna do 55. I'm gonna do 55. 55 for Fiona Staples, and it'll satisfy the rule that's coming to bite me in the butt about not having the team of everyone I pick. So Fiona Staples was a damn good suggestion.
I'm so out. It's annoying.
55.
Greg, will you fight for this for me? Like,
yeah. What if I do 70?
70.
God damn. I'd say.
All right.
I'd say
70.
Best the fuck out there, Fiona Staples. First issue club's gonna treat you so good.
Do we have a fighter for 70? Fighter for 70 for Fiona Staples. Going once. We got 2 minutes, so there's plenty of time left.
2
still.
minutes. Come on. I'm a 1 minute man.
You know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 75.
75 for Fiona Staples. 75. All right. Currently in a close second behind Scotty Young for the most expensive creators thus far at 80. Do I see 80 from?
I'm out.
No 80.
I can't do 80.
75 going once.
Can't do 80.
75 going twice.
I mean, Fiona Staples on the lineup is going to look pretty sick.
75.
Badr, you must be broke now.
Well, the way it's looking right now, we got Badr's at 130. Let's do a quick.
Chris is counting my pockets, man. Come on.
What
about this gift card that I got? Can I use the $50 gift card I got?
All right, before
store
we
credit,
before
I got
get
store
on,
credit.
Yeah.
You got a veteran discount? What's going on?
All right, no, I stand firm. I stand firm for whatever price I just said.
75. All right, let me do my gavel here. 75 here. Fiona Staples going to Badr. Okay. So we're kind of at the halfway point because we've done 3 rounds. And the way our teams are looking right now, does this make sense here? Maybe I'm wrong here on the 3 rounds part. Don't vet me, anyone listening right now. But currently the way it stands is I have $125. My team looks like Wes Craig, Scotty Young, and Rick Remender. Scotty being the only pick that I have.
Solid.
Greg is sitting at 175 with Kelly Thompson and Cal Starks, both his picks. Mm-hmm. And then Badr at 130 has Jordy Belair, Ram V, and Fiona Staples.
I mean, and that could be it for me right there. It's like, boom. That's, I mean, yeah, writer, artist, colorist. I mean, what else do I need? I mean, a whole lot more, but still.
Well, we got 3 more people to go still. Go ahead.
Chris, may I suggest a mid-game rule change that I think might add some pep to the steps and really raise the stakes?
What do we got?
I say instead of 5 minutes, cut that bitch down to 3 minutes. Really put some pressure.
All right.
Really put some pressure on us. Put some pressure on us.
The heat is on.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get it so hot that Greg goes from cherry red to fucking fireball, supernova red.
I don't know what's happening with my camera's color correction, but I look like
you guys can't see this if you're listening, but we've got Greg who's like a cherry red.
Been an all-day bender, just like going at it.
Badr is like he's got a green hue to his, and I'm like I've got a dark shadow behind me. I don't really know what's happening on my end either. But all right, let's take it down to 3 minutes here.
Come on now.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay, here we go. So for my third, I think it's my third pick. We've got, let's see here. I'm actually.
Well, technically, this is like the start of round 4.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So I got $125. I'm going to go sneaky here, and I hope you guys don't challenge me for this, but I'm going to do Denzi Camp, current writer of the Ultimates and the upcoming Ultimate Wolverine, among other things, 20th Century Men. I'm going to go $15 for Denzi. Sort of a newer name in the comic world, but in my opinion, I think one of the true up-and-comers. I would not be surprised if in 3 years Denzi has a couple Eisner noms, maybe even a win. I think between him and Hickman is sort of leading the charge when it comes to the Ultimate Universe over at Marvel, which in my opinion, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it, looking pretty good so far. I'm a big fan of all the runs. I actually haven't really been keeping up on the Black Panther run quite yet, but I will say that the Ultimates, the Ultimate X-Men, and then Spider-Man have all been great. So $15 for Denzi Camp.
I can't believe I'm going to let you have that for 15, but I just dropped a lot of
because you're not. Someone to bid 25.
Oh, nice.
25.
Chris, everything you said about it's Denzi, right? Denzi?
I think it's Denzi Camp, yeah.
Everything you've said about him is accurate. I went from being kind of iffy on picking up the Ultimates to now that's top of the reading pile. I think I look forward to that more than, dare I say, Ultimate Spider-Man by Hickman, which is saying a lot. But I feel like every time you read an issue of Ultimates by him, there's so much nuance to it. You end up leaving with a lesson, something to chew on, mentally. And yeah, I'm like, well, what else has he written that I'm not aware of? Like, I think it goes back to what Greg was saying about when these indie darlings end up going
Absolute Manhunter as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's over in the DC universe. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. You're right.
I have not read 20th Century Men, but if it's as good as everyone says it is, if it's any indication, if Ultimates is any indication of how good that is, I'll be on that. Okay. You lucky man, you.
I'm doing 30. I'll do 30 for Denzi.
35.
Damn it.
Oh,
Greg.
Come on, Greg. Greg's at the bank.
Actually, I'll do 40.
40. Okay. I'm out.
Greg, Federal Reserve lick tag, ladies and gentlemen.
No. I'm now looking at what they've done and what they're going to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. You got
all right. Damn. I got about a minute left, but I can't do. I'm at 125, and I got 3 more spots to fill. So, Greg, I think you might have your very first non-Greg pick with Denzi Camp at $40. That's a good pickup. All right, where's my gavel at? Jeez, what a pick. Now, I'm kind of mad. I was hoping that I would just sort of get him, but all right. Denzi Camp off the board. And that leaves Greg up next. So, Greg, what are your thoughts here with your next pick?
All right. So, I'm going to throw out Declan Shalvey. Time Before Time, Moon Knight, Thundercats, Terminator, Alien.
Nice.
Also does the writer-artist combo.
That's right.
When called upon. This is a name that has been in the indie world for a long time. and that is now being utilized by Marvel primarily a ton to amazing success. I think it's like him and Benjamin Percy are the people that they go to for like all the 20th century stuff, and they're just like fucking cooking over there. I think he's just like a solid, like foundational pick. Like he's the guy that's just like, if you need something done that'll appeal to like the indie crowd and like the big two kind of crowd, Declan's the one you go to. And I'll do 25. We'll start
25.
low for the
Badr, what are your thoughts? Because again, I'm out on really, I really have to be selective, and I love Declan Shalvey, especially that Moon Knight that he did with Warren Ellis. But I just don't know if I have the funds to fight for Declan when I have still a couple picks left. I went too hard with Scotty Young. Dang it!
I will see Greg's 25 and raise him 30 for Declan Shalvey, because Declan Shalvey, much like a Kelly Thompson, is a name that has quality behind it. The guy is got one hell of an eye for. I mean, and I'm coming at it from a Declan Shalvey cover. Come on, you can put your money on that. He's got such a great eye for design, thinking outside of the box, action and all of that. So Declan Shalvey would be welcomed to this roster over here.
Greg, rebuttal at 30.
I'm hey.
I love that you use it chewing a pen. He's got a pencil.
Let's
go.
Badr Milligan note, mind you.
The irony is not lost. Sounds like I got Declan Shalvey added to the roster. Another one stolen from.
Going twice.
That's good. God damn it.
Declan Shalvey at $30 to Badr. All right, Badr, you're sitting at $100 even right now. And I think it is your pick as well.
Let's go,
what do you have here for your fifth spot on your roster?
Man, I kind of definitely shot myself in the foot by jumping the gun a little soon on the artist, because I can't wait to tell you who I had on the lineup for the artist. But that aside, I'm gonna go for a little curveball here. Okay, we're over here talking about amazing writers, up and coming, creatives and things like that. But you know what else makes or break a comic book, in my opinion, is
the staples.
Some good
spot gloss.
I wish I had the name of like a staple company that I could just toss in. I'm like, for $25, Staples are us. No, I'm gonna enough filibuster. I'm gonna throw out Hassan Otsman Elhau, who is
I had on my list too.
Fantastic letterer, but also an amazing comic critic, which he was name dropped in the last year's episode, but no one actually bid on him. So with that said, I'm going to start the bid with him at $20. So $20 for Hassan Otsman Elhau, because
25 for my end.
All right, Chris. I see what you want to do. All right, then I will go 35. And I will continue saying what I'm saying about Hassan, because he, what was it? It was absolute. Oh my God, what did he just do? I'm thinking it's Zatanna. The Zatanna Black Label book that's currently out, Bring the House Down, is phenomenal. Not only because you've got Javier, Rodriguez doing the artwork, which he's already bringing a funky style, a pop art sensibility, and amazing colors, but pay attention to the lettering, the captions, the automatopoeias. Like, it all brings it together. And I feel like everything I said about colorists kind of going unappreciated, or kind of like slowly getting their appropriate spotlight, I think the letterers is still an uphill battle for a lot of folks. So to have someone like Hassan Otsman Elhau, who elevates the craft, who brings like a great design sensibility to a comic book, if I get him on the squad, I'm going to have one of the best looking comic books ever. So Hassan Otsman Elhau for 35.
I'm going to challenge that. I'm going to do 40 for Hassan.
Chris, come on, man. You don't have,
because not only is he one of the best letters in the game, not only did he win an Eisner, but he was also the editor of Panel X Panel.
Boy, Badr, speaking as your accountant, you need to stop.
45 for Hassan right now. 45.
All right. What? Next year's game, we all have to have our mothers on the call, and for them to be like, "Honey, you can't afford that." And have life on the call next time. How much are you spending on these imaginary people?
Greg, what are your thoughts? Are you going to bid on Hassan here again? One of the best letters in the game.
I can't. I mean,
he's got a plan. Look at Greg.
Wow. No, I can't. Too rich for my blood, and with what's left.
Look, okay. I'm gonna do 50. 50 real quick for Hassan.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. I'm okay with that. Again, Hassan, in my opinion, and there are a lot of great letters out there, but I think he is just so far and away just number one in my book. So Speaking to Christian Ward about this on our City of Madness, he just cannot talk enough about Hassan and his work as a letterer. So I'm very confident at 50.
Also, Hassan is a writer himself. I mean, aside from being a comic critic, a journalist, a fantastic inker, he's a writer too. I think he had a project with Junie Ba where he was either a co-writer or on the project. So for those, I feel like I'm on Shark Chick. For those reasons, I'm out, but I'm not going to be out because I was stalling time. I'm going to go ahead and bid him for 55. Fuck it, I'm going to go 55 for Hassan.
Oh, okay, I'm out. 55 is that's a good one. Damn. All right. Shoot.
Worth it.
I tried hard for that one, everybody.
You.
Hassan, if you're listening for some reason, which I know you're not, I tried, all right?
But Hassan, if you are listening, remember when I had you on the podcast? We had such a great time. Come on back, buddy.
You guys had a great conversation. I was gonna talk about that earlier before I started trying to outbid you. It was a great talk.
I was thinking about, I threw in the extra 5 because I was like, his personality was great. He was so nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on now, man. Welcome to the squad, baby.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Badr, you're sitting at a pretty decent spot. You've got $45 left, but you only have one spot to fill. So your team is looking good.
Well, hold on. This is the important part. This last pick, is it going to be his or someone else?
He has one more pick for himself. Yeah.
See, I strategically was playing this game.
So he's like, I meant to do that, everybody. I don't know if you know this or not.
Was this a school for ants?
Greg, you are up next. Who do you have on your board?
This is going to be a personal pick for me, someone who I have loved for a long time and who I am hoping to get on my team. Brett Parson, who has done the Tank Girl series out on Titan and the Grommets series currently going on Giant Generator with Rick Remender. His style is so stylized and neat and like honed in, and it feels like you're watching a Saturday cartoon. Wow. And like you're also like it's a trick of the eye of just like you look at his artwork and it's like is this comparable to anyone? You're just like, no, it's like an emotion that you're feeling of just like whimsy and like fun of like your younger days of just like no cares in the world. And like I think Brett just perfectly encapsulates that kind of feeling in his artwork.
Greg, the biggest Grommets fan in the universe right now.
I'm throwing down on that series.
Man, that's good.
So why I haven't thrown out Brian Posehn's name yet is beyond me. $10. We'll do 10.
Oh, nice. I like it. All right.
Strong. Brett, when you type in Brett Parson in Google, he pops up as visual artist, and I think that is so accurate.
I know a lot of people are starting to do that now. Google's just like, we don't want to put comic book artists.
Yeah. He's way cooler than that.
Actually,
yeah.
All right. Well, I can't challenge for Brett, unfortunately. I don't have the funds for it.
But one hell of a pick.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah, that's like a Manu Ginobili type of pick. Like just coming off the bench, sixth man. No one knows how valuable he is until he's in the game. And I unfortunately, again, the way my team is set up, I just don't have the funds. We should have done 500. Everybody, we really screwed this up. $500 would have been much better, but that's okay. You know, you live and you learn with these. That's
next year's resolve.
There you go. Yeah, Brett Parsons for $10. Yeah,
if you want to know more about Brett, go read the Tank Girl stuff from Titan Comics. Like Tank Girl is already an amazing series, but like the vividness he brought to that new series was fantastic. So I'm happy to be getting this pick on the cheap. I feel like he's going to be my rally pick.
There you go. Gavel goes live. Brett Parsons for $10. The steal of the night so far. The cheapest one before that was $30 for Declan Shalvey. So great pick, Greg. I have 2 picks here. Let's see who we have here. I'm currently sitting at $125, just so everybody knows. And I'm going to go with someone. This is funny. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this here. Let's go with Robert Kirkman for $25. Robert Kirkman for $25.
Christ.
What do you guys got? You want to challenge me? $50.
Nice. Get it, Greg. Don't make it easy on him. Don't fucking make it easy on him.
All right.
Damn.
All right.
Robert Kirkman.
$50. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about. I'm not bidding, by the way. I'm the too rich for my blood. I can't even compete.
I mean, he's like the new Godfather.
That's what I'm saying. We've been talking about business savvy creators. Look no further than Robert Kirkman, right? Came in as a talented writer. I think he was like immediately. What role did they give him at Image? Like CEO? I mean, like I think
maybe editor in chief or something.
They gave him like a pretty prominent role pretty early on because his Walking Dead was killing it. And then I mean, eventually now he runs Skybound, which to me, sometimes you forget that's an imprint of Image because it feels like it is its own thing.
Right.
It could be its own publisher itself. From the branding, the marketing, the talent. Yeah.
I just shared with you guys not too long ago that I recently just picked up Firepower for the first time and started reading the hardcovers. And God, if that's not just a great book. And it's so easy to overlook Robert Kirkman because he's just done it so many times. Again, Walking Dead, Invincible. You could, again, Firepower. You could throw in, you could even throw in Oblivion Song if that's your speed. You got Marvel Zombies, of course. Like, it's so funny to me to think about how, and I think this is sort of known among the masses, that Robert Kirkman had to lie to Image to get The Walking Dead created.
That's right.
And it ended up working out in the best way. And I love the story about how he sort of pitched The Walking Dead, the fake story for The Walking Dead, while driving a comic creator to the airport. If I remember that story correctly, I could be, don't vet me on that, everybody. I could be telling a lie. But if I remember correctly, the way he got his name in on Image was he was working at a comic shop. He was driving a comic creator, a high up comic creator, I'm forgetting the name now, to the airport, pitched it. The comic creator put a good word in with Image, and that's how he eventually got The Walking Dead created. So,
hell fucking yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew about the fake Walking Dead story. I didn't know about the airport story. Now I'm beating myself up for all the times I've been like, I can't drive them to the airport because I got other stuff going on. Son of a bitch.
Robert Kirkman for 55. I will do 55.
Earned it. That's a high price tag. You have Robert Kirkman on your team?
I'll do 60.
Yeah.
I'll do 60.
Okay, I'm out. I don't have it. So
I'm like, Hercules.
Going once, Badr, you don't have the funds. I can't do that, unfortunately.
You don't have to say it like that. I mean, geez, Badr, you don't have the fun. You broke it.
You broke ass.
Yeah, we're just broke boy over here.
All right. I guess
Greg has been sitting. What is that phrase? And in stock market, there's like a bear market
Bullish
and then like a pig market or something like that. All
Bull.
bear over there.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Gavel. Robert Kirkman for $60 over to Greg. Greg, you are currently sitting at $65 now. Somehow, through the ebbs and flows of this draft, I now sit atop with the most money. I don't know how, seeing how I came out hot with Scotty Young and Wes Craig at $80 and $60. But here we are, and I have one more pick. And gentlemen, I think I'm going to come in with another heavy hitter because I think I can beat you guys for this. Let's do Mike Mignola for $35. Mike Mignola, $35.
God, oof. Whew.
What do you guys got? Let's see here. Now that we're playing with fire,
Mike Mignola. I mean, what?
Of course, Hellboy
what is there to
fame.
be
Everybody
said?
knows. We don't really need to say much, to be honest.
I'll do 45.
45. I'll do 50.
Motherfucker.
I was gonna throw my hat in for 45, but I was gonna wait until the clock got down just a little more. But you guys have fun fighting this one out. Damn, Mike Mignola would be such a good, because he brings all that experience. He brings the name recognition.
He's built his own little empire as well
just
through Dark Horse. Like obviously he doesn't have his own imprint, but through BPRD and Hellboy and everything else he's done over at Dark Horse, he's been there since the early 90s. Like, come on. And Hellboy is just been consistently, you're talking about like Usagi Yojimbo consistently good through its entire run. So $50 for Mike Mignola. I'm happy about that. Greg, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are I'm going to go 65.
Nice.
I'll do 70 and I'll beat you out. $70.
Because I don't have any money.
$70. I'll take it for 75.
I think it's kind of, yeah, it's a little unfair that Chris over there knows all of our wallet accounts. Son of a bitch.
I got access to everybody's account.
Yeah, he got it.
Well, just so that everybody is, let me do my gavel really quick because I got Mike Mignola for 70. I have the two highest. No, I'm sorry. I don't have the two highest bids. You guys got Fiona Staples at 75, Badr, and then Kelly Thompson, Greg, you got her for 75. So I'm happy with Mike at 70. That's a great pick. I think even though it's a big amount, I think that's still a bargain. I'll just do a quick, just so everybody's tracking at home. I currently am sitting at $45. I've got Wes Craig, Scotty Young, Rick Vermender, Mike Mignola. We got Greg at $65, Kelly Thompson, Kyle Starks, Denzi Camp, Brett Parson, Robert Kirkman. And then you have Badr at $45, Jordy Belair, Ram V, Fiona Staples, Declan Shalvey, Hassan Otsman, Elhelm, at like I said, $45. So Badr's currently winning in the utility camp. Greg is currently winning, I think, in actually, I think you of all of our teams, Greg, you kind of have like a little bit of everything. You've got a great writer, you've got a good writer artist, you've got a good up and comer, you've got a quick, I would say, and again, I mean this respectfully, you've got a bargain pick here with Brett Parson. You have a giant with Robert Kirkman. And I like my team as well. Wes Craig, Scotty Young, Rick Remender. I've got two Empire guys with Rick Remender and Mike Magnolia. So, Greg, it is your pick.
A pick that I can't bid on, so this is going to be fun. I will say I'm torn between these two because one is a hometown boy, and the other is one who is like building an empire themselves. I'm going to go with Matthew Rosenberg.
Ooh.
What's the furthest place from here? We can never go home.
Okay.
4 Kids Walk into a Bank, which is turning into a movie or a TV show, one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Rosenberg is one
What's
of those.
your bid really quick before we go on?
30.
30. All right.
Matthew Rosenberg is one of those guys that is inputting his love of music into his work love, which is comic books. And you see that a lot in What's the Furthest Place from Here, but you can tell that he is just like a music guy. He loves finding rare hidden gems and finding ways to use that in his comic books. And I really, really respect that. And, Mike D had his band when he was in college, and Mike Russo, the Budget King, was a big music promoter, had his own music label. So collectively as a First Issue Club, Volume 1, we had a lot of music talk on our show. And Matthew Rosenberg was a guy that we always talked about because he just had such an affinity for music.
Oh, wow. I didn't know any of that. That's cool. And I've never thought to call any of the past iterations of the Short Box Volume 1 or Volume 2. That's fucking genius, Greg.
Thank you.
You know what? Just for the sheer fact that Matthew Rosenberg is competing with us with Ashcan Press over at Substack with his podcast featuring the Supple Boys, I will not bid out of pure spite because they kill him. He's hilarious. Yeah. So I will not bid. Badr, what are your thoughts? $45. You've got one spot left.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to hold on to my last spot here. And only because, admittedly, I don't know much about Matthew Rosenberg. But hearing Greg talk about how cool he is and the musicality, which always is a surefire way to win me over. I don't know much about the comic side like that. I won't, and that's on me. So, Greg, I humbly bow out. You've got you got some cool out of left field picks with the Brett Parsons, Matt Rosenberg. Like this is definitely a you lineup that you got going on. I respect it. I'm good. I bow out.
I was joking earlier. Four kids walk into a bank is a fucking bona fide classic. It's literally just like talk about a staple for around the time I started picking up comics, which was around like 2012, 2013. I've always been into comics, but around the time where I was like really, really becoming a Wednesday warrior, 4 kids walk into a bank. You go into any comic shop and just ask all the people that work there, what's your favorite comic? 4 kids walk into a bank is going to be one of their favorites. But unfortunately, again, the way my team is set up, I can't really bid for him. I will say that, Greg, you now have 4 picks on your team, but I think I guess the way the draft has sort of fallen, we kind of have to give you Matthew Rosenberg here. So we're already breaking rules, but that's all right.
Son of a bitch.
Hey, okay.
That's all right.
Well, then my team's
collusion.
But you are also done, Greg. You have your roster. You are good to go. So Badr, what are your thoughts here? You have 5 picks here. I have 4 people on my team. What is your next pick?
All right. Now, I'm going to deviate from the plan because I felt like there was a little bit of a dunking on me. You guys have all these like premier A-list superstar names, and you guys are like, yeah, Badr's got a good little utility team.
Respectfully.
Yeah, it's cute, man. It's cute.
So I think I was going to go in my very nerdy fucking self-important way. I was going to go, well, my next pick is going to be an editor, and it's going to be Chris Conroy, which I think I would make that assumption. But I've only got 1 slot left, and I want to end it in a bang. So I'm going to nominate Frank Quietly.
Ooh, I like it.
And my opening bid will be for 25.
Damn, that's a good pick.
Why Frank Quietly? Frank Quietly, and I had to look it up because Frank Quietly is kind of deceiving. You're like, he's still doing stuff? And it's like, yeah, he's still doing stuff. But I think he's also at a point in his career where he's very selective. The last thing I could find is that in 2022, he did the first issue of the Mark Millar Ambassadors series, which I believe that whole series premise was that every issue there's going to be a different artist, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he now just, you can definitely catch a variant cover by him floating around out there, every couple months. But Frank Quietly, man, come on. Tremendous artist. He's worked with the best. I mean, I brought up Grant Morrison. He's damn near, glued to Grant Morrison's hip in terms of new X-Men. I mean, absolute Batman and Robin. The list goes on. It's Frank Quietly. So I figured I've got Declan Shelby, who I believe is Irish. And then
Yes.
I think and then Frank Quietly, he's a Scotsman. I mean, bring some of that European, UK flair to the lineup. Give Declan Shelby a buddy that can relate to everything. I mean,
speaking of like your favorite artist's artist, talk to the giants in the comic industry. Frank Quietly is often being brought up as like, when I first started reading comics, says, Robert Kirkman, he will talk about Frank Quietly in that light that like, if it had not been for Frank Quietly and his work, that artist would have never continued to read comics. So what a pick. Man, I really want to fight you on this. If I do this, if I go to 30, that leaves me with $15, and that's assuming that I win. So for that reason, Sharks, I'm out. Unfortunately, I got to give you Frank Quietly. I got to give you Frank Quietly at $25. That's crazy.
I will take it. And you know what? That is not that saying that I didn't have some A-list star power, but I think Frank Quietly is mainstream wise. People, come on, it's Frank Quietly.
Yeah. All right. Frank Quietly at $25. Congratulations, Badr. But also your team is done, which means everybody, I don't know if everyone's keeping track at home, but I currently have 2 roster spots and $45 to play with. Let's see what I'm going to do here with my last 2 roster spots. It's my 2 compadres here. Can't fight me on it. So let's start off with James Tynan IV at $25. Anybody want to start us off? James Tynan at $25. Anybody want to do James Tynan at 25? Do I hear 25? 25, anybody? Going once.
Wait,
going
how much did I
twice.
How much did I win? Wait, how much did I win Frank Quietly for?
You would have had
no spots open.
You would have had $15, I think.
Got a bench.
No, you would have had $20.
Wait, what's the bench looking like? What happens?
Yeah. Do we get a bench now? All right, I get James Tynan for $25. Let me do my gavel. And then for my last spot here, let me see. Let me just check my list really quick.
Chris, how did you end up?
Next year, I'm passing till the 5th round.
Oh, man. I lost all my picks. You guys took all my guys. Oh, man.
I'm not salty about it.
Jeez,
you know what?
So, Chris, you had a bunch of great recommendations. That's what it is. We stole all of your great ideas.
Yep. You know what? I'm going to do, and again, it sort of works out, unfortunately, that like Greg and I both have 4 picks because again, the way the draft sort of laid out. For my last pick, for my last $20 that I have, I'm going to do, and I have a couple people. I'm just going to go through the people that I'm deciding, just so people can kind of go through my list. I've got Tyler Crook, Daniel Sampier, Mariko Tamaki, Jesse Lonergan, Jeff Lemire, Dave Chisholm, Patrick Horvath, Michael Allred are the people that I'm deciding between.
I mean, Jeff Lemire is a solid dunk.
It's between Jeff Lemire, Mariko Tamaki, and Michael Allred for me. I just was recently talking to you guys on our group chat about how much I love Michael Allred's Silver Surfer run. Everybody knows Silver Surfer is my favorite character of all time. But Jeff Lemire, you know what? I think it might just have to be Jeff Lemire coming in at the tail end on my last pick. So we will do that for $20.
That's a solid utility pick as well. I mean, writer and artist.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can never go wrong with having like a double or triple threat. I mean,
yeah, and he's also he does his own lettering as well.
The triple threat's the lettering. Okay.
Yeah.
He also does the binding, which is crazy.
He buys the Staples.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, let's go ahead and round this bad boy out. We could talk about James Tynan and Jeff Lemire, but I think everybody here knows who those 2 creators are. I will say
take everything we've been saying about everyone else and just multiply it by 10. There you go.
Right. Those 2 guys they're giants in the medium but James has been a recent giant with this Tiny Onion stuff, and Jeff Lemire has just been consistently one of the best creators in comics. So let's lay the land here a little bit. We've got my team sitting here at Wes Craig, Scotty Young, Rick Remender, Mike Magnolia, James Tynan IV, Jeff Lemire. Greg is currently sitting at Kelly Thompson, Kyle Starks, Denzi Camp, Brett Parson, Robert Kirkman,
Respect.
Matthew Rosenberg. And then Badr is bringing us up with
Say it
Jordy
loud.
Belair,
Say it
Brom
loud.
V, Fiona Staples, Declan Shalvey, Hassan
Enough said.
Othman Elmhow, and Frank Quietly. So that is our teams today for our second annual comic creator draft. Gentlemen, how do we feel? How do we feel about our teams?
I kind of hate this game because now I'm like, why doesn't this comic book exist?
Who would be your writer on your team, Badr?
I think I'd have Ron V as the lead writer, Declan Shelby backup. But that's what I'm saying about Declan Shelby, right? Like he can sit in on that writer role. He can also sit in on that, hey, we need a solid cover. Declan's like, I got it. Yo, give Fiona and Frank some time. Give them a little break. I got the covers. Don't worry about it. Hassan Othman Elmhow, come on. My squad is looking sharp. And Jordy Belair cannot sleep on the contributions of a colorist, damn it.
Greg, what are your thoughts on your team here? Are you happy with again, you got the steal of the draft with Brett Parson at $10. What are your thoughts on your team?
I'm elated, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this list and I'm thinking, in the context of what Badr is doing, I'm just like, what book would they write? And I would love to see this team do like some kind of historical fiction series where the dinosaurs, the meteor that came didn't kill the dinosaurs. So now we're living side by side, maybe a Dinotopia kind of thing, journey to the center of the world. I think there's a lot of action to be told there. Some humor can be done. The artwork is going to be, fully covered with the people that I got. I got Kirkman on there as like one of those like classic editor kind of types. I got the Dark Horse with Brett Parson. I got a ton of utility players. I'm jazzed. I'm feeling real good.
Sure. Yeah. And again, I think the way that my team sort of set up there at the end, unfortunately, I just got to be able to pick who I wanted, which from my angle, I love, but for the sake of the draft, we still have some fine tuning to go. But again, I'm also elated with my team, mostly because my four pillars, which would probably end up being Scotty Young, Mike Magnolia, James Tynan, and Jeff Lemire, Rick Remender, both of them are both titans in the industry in terms of building their brands. So between those four guys, with Wes Craig bringing up the tail end, with both being an incredible writer and artist, I'm extremely happy with mine. From your guys' point of view, unbiasedly, who do you think has the best team?
Let me see.
Me.
Actually,
unbiasedly.
No, I'm going to co-sign Greg. I mean, that's going to be a well-written fucking comic book right there. Kelly Thompson, Kyle Starks is going to be fucking funny. Matthew Rosen. I mean, I like Greg's a lot.
I went into this draft thinking I'm not leaving without Kelly Thompson. Getting that pick solidified of just like, all right, I have the Patrick Mahomes. I have the captain of my team right there.
Do.
And like,
you do.
She is more than able to like pilot whatever happens with this team.
It's funny that you have, I wouldn't say it's funny. It's interesting that you have Kelly Thompson as your quarterback and not Robert Kirkman, who has, again, been a giant in the industry for 20 plus years now.
Robert Kirkman's my Andy Reid. He's the coach on the side. You know what I mean?
Like,
damn right.
He's lived through it all. He's helping Kelly get to her further greatness. Like, this is looking good for I love this game.
And I think that's why I was going to throw in, a choose an editor, because no matter how talented your squad is, and maybe this is the annoying Big Brother project manager in me, like you need someone to bring all that together. Keep like the project on the train tracks, someone that has like a wider vision of like, all the parts working together. So I think for Greg, and I think that's why his speaks to me, because having Robert Kirkman on there, just from an oversight, you could have him like lead the writing charge and be the face of it, but him just like, playing like that coach role, come on, man, that'd be undefeated.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Again, this is always the most fun. This actually went a little longer than I thought it would, which I'm happy about it. We had a great conversation. Badr, good call on shortening the time that we could actually talk about all this stuff. But I'm extremely happy with the way this all came about. Anyone listening right now, if you have any suggestions on either format or what have you, please don't be shy. Let us know what your thoughts are. But before we get out of here, I'm going to hand the baton off to you, gentlemen, one more time, because I so much enjoy anytime that we get to hang out on either of our shows, but especially on my show, because these type of events do require someone outside of, either Aaron or myself. We got to bring in the big guns. So I so appreciate both of you coming on to the Oblivion
Free
Bar
labor.
to do this.
Yeah. No, free labor is great.
Exactly. This is, I required you guys to be here. I was leaving the group chat. There would be two comic gents.
That's the thing about hopping on another like podcast, especially when like it's good. You're like, fuck, I wish we were recording for my show.
I want that fucking SEO. God
Like
damn it.
selfishly, you're like, damn, send me a copy of this.
Well, Greg, I'm going to hand the baton off to you.
Yep.
Let the folks listening right now, again, if for some reason they've never heard of the First Issue Club, give people the rundown. Why should people come check you out every Friday?
Yep. First Issue Club. Every Friday we go down the hottest and best first issues of the week. We started it as a reading club for newer readers to get into the comic industry, because it is kind of daunting. There's a lot of stories that are being told right now and a lot of things that you may not be aware of. And we're here to walk you through the current week's best selections. We're also here to talk about books that we've loved previously. Right now, the club is going through our list of top 100 best things about comic books, which we researched for 5 to 6 years and deliberated over many, many hours of the top 100 things that are the best about comic books. And we're doing that through the holidays as like our evergreen episodes, because with the holidays, as you guys know, as recording goes, fucking sucks because there's always delays.
It's hard as hell.
So like Good Little Boys, we pre-recorded some stuff, and that's the one we're looking forward to the most. But yeah, we just love talking with people over on our Discord about comic books, over on our Patreon. It's been a blast. And I always say this whenever we meet, but meeting the two of you and befriending one another. I mean, we talk every day. Mm-hmm. We have a text chain, and like we talk I talk to you more than probably my brothers sometimes. And it's just like, I'm so thankful for this community and the ability to make an imprint in it. So if you want to come learn more about First Issue Club, come check us out.
Yeah. And I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm not just saying this because Greg is right in front of me. I've said this often, both in private and to him physically, but the First Issue Club, first podcast I listen to every Friday. Just absolutely. It's, if not my favorite, one of my favorite comic book podcasts out there. And speaking of my other favorite comic book podcasts, Badr, tell the people about the Short Box.
All right. I'm going to get my accolades out the way. And then I want to go back to Greg and Chris real quick. But the Short Box podcast, man, like Chris had said, I've been doing this for a long time because I love comic books and comic culture. I mean, it brought me to these two amazing gentlemen. But the Short Box is the best way to get your weekly dose of comic shop vibes without ever leaving the house. Okay, we drop episodes every Wednesday. We do news, reviews, and interviews about, well, you guessed it, comic books and comic culture. I've been on, I say this almost every year, but I think it's maybe a testament to me always trying to push the bar. But I feel like this year has been amazing in terms of interview opportunities in the episodes I've been putting out. So let me know if I'm crazy. Check out the Short Box wherever you get your comic podcast. To go back to First Issue Club, the worst thing about that damn show is when they miss a Friday. Okay, when they miss a Friday, you feel it. So I same things can be said to you too. Greg, I can say this on a podcast. That one list of 100 best things about comic books.
Yeah.
And then on top of this too, I can say about the draft, it keeps me on my toes because I'm like, damn it, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think about it? You've been doing this for 12 years, you lazy bum. Think better. So anyways, yeah.
I think, don't hold me to this, but once the 100 is over, we might try to get some of you guys on the show to do like pre-100 or a couple of your picks, just so.
That'd be cool.
I think it's just an expansive conversation that could be had. So I'm excited.
Some of the
to see
ideas,
what happens.
I don't want to spoil it because I think people should absolutely go listen to it. But some of the things you guys have already mentioned at the first 25, you're like, if we're already getting this nuanced and nitty gritty, then I cannot wait for the rest. So kudos.
Yeah.
to you.
What other small parts of the comic world can they bring into this list? Like the smell or the staples.
baby.
Yeah. As I said in our group chat, I will say it live here on the show, everybody. IDW, best smelling books on the market. Okay, go smell your whatever IDW book you have on the shelf. Go smell it right now. I stand by that. But gentlemen, again, thank you so much for joining us here on the Oblivion Bar. From Aaron and I, it's been great. I'm going to go through our sort of last call to action here. Subscribe to the podcast: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. That's where the Oblivion Bar is. Thank you to our patrons, Alex, Alice, Aaron, Badr, Chris S., Chris Y., Christy, David, Elliot, Gianni, Greg, Haley, Ham6, Jake, Jeremy, Kyle, Losi, Mac, Miles, Mike, Olivia, Ryan, Robert, Travis, Zach, and Brad and Lisa. If you want to support the show without spending any money, a follow on your preferred podcasting platform and a 5-star rating and or review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify helps the show out a ton. It's a nice free way to support the show. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads at Oblivion Bar Pod. We've got some brand new merch over on oblivionbarpodcast.com. Of course, we just got our brand new merch from KDX Studios. So go check that out. Thank you to KXD Studios for all of our Oblivion Bar. He is at KXD Graphics on Instagram. Thank you, Dream Kid, for all of our musical themes here on the Oblivion Bar. Thank you, DJ Skyvac, for our grid theme. And again, as always, do not forget to tip your bartenders 20% or more. If you're tipping less than 20%, you're doing the wrong thing. So again, from Greg, Badr, and myself, thank you all so much for listening to the Oblivion Bar podcast. We will see you next week for episode 175.